Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk to you about my favorite books that I read in spring. So I'm talking March, April, and May. I know it extends a little bit either way. This is how I do it. This is my spring reading wrap up where I only talk to you about my favorite books that I read per season. So this year I made a little switch. I'm doing full monthly book reviews, mini book reviews for every single book that I read over on my Patreon. Plus I share tons of other stuff over there. So definitely go check out my Patreon. It's always linked in the description box of all of my videos. And I am also doing live shows at the end of every single month. I did one in January, February, March, April, and May. Now summer's going to be a little bit different. I'm skipping June and July, but in August where we're going to talk about all of the books that we read all summer. So it's going to be a probably longer episode than the other ones have been, since we're talking about like 3 months worth of reading, but I have some really fun guests, so stay tuned for more details as the summer continues. But let's go ahead and jump into my favorite books from the spring. Now, as you will see when I hold up the books, you will see I don't have that many. I only had 5 books that were my 5-star reads for 3 months, you guys, which is crazy to me. And these are the books that I want you to pick up. This is why I have done away with the traditional monthly wrap up, because these are the ones I want to shine a light on. So only 5, starting with 2 Lucinda Berry books. I read these in a reading vlog, so if you're interested in more of my full in-depth thoughts, I will link that video down below for you. The first one that I read is Saving Noah, and this is about a teenager, 18 years old, that molested some young girls. He was teaching like swim practice and he molested these young girls. He went away to like a juvenile, what's it called? Juvenile Sexual Rehabilitation Center, and he has like graduated that program, and it's time for him to come back to the real world. His dad does not want him in the house. He also has a younger sister, so the dad is like, no, he can't be around his younger sister. I don't know what we're gonna do. So the mom's like, well, he's our son, I love him, I'm gonna get an apartment for us. And so she does. She rents an apartment for her and her son Noah, and he gets out and goes to live there, but things aren't as easy as you would imagine. This gets very dark, but I think it handles like mental illnesses and things like that very, very well. Hearing Haley talk about it in my mental health rep and fiction episode on my podcast was exactly what you need to hear to pick this up. So I will link that episode down below, but it is short. A lot of people wanted more from this one, but I thought that Lucinda Berry told a story that needed to be told, and she didn't like fluff it up. So I really appreciated that. And this is one of those thrillers that are definitely going to make you question your own moral dilemmas and all of that. So highly recommend this if you can handle the subject matter. Next up in that same reading vlog, I read The Perfect Child, and this is one that my friend Jessie has been trying to get me to read forever, and my only regret is that I didn't read this sooner. I really, really loved this one, and I would say of the 2, I preferred The Perfect Child, just because it was longer, and also because it has some of my like favorite things in it, and it does deal with like infertility. So you have this husband and a wife, they're a perfect couple. He's a surgeon, she's a nurse, they have great jobs, they have a great house. The only thing is they're having trouble conceiving their own child. They're just about to consider like adoption and stuff like that. I think like out of the country adoption. And this one girl comes up in the emergency room, and she has a lot of things wrong with her, and they decide to foster to adopt. But this story gets dark, and it also deals a lot with like trauma and your past. It has that like creepy kid trope, kind of. It just has a lot packed in, and I just loved this one so much. So there's that one. Again, I would say that both of these books are really, really dark. This deals with like being a pedophile and what that means, and then this one deals with like kind of the consequences of trying to get what you always wanted and what trauma can do to a person and all that. So both of these are really like well researched, well written, faster paced reads because you're just wondering like what the heck is going to happen. And I highly recommend both of these. I've read 5 Lucinda Berry books now, and these 2 are my absolute favorite. I do have one more on my TBR to get to hopefully soon. The next 2 books that I want to talk to you about are my Kristen Majlin books that I read. This one was sent to me in 2020, and I'm so sad because the author did send it to me and I just took forever actually reading it. But I also picked up the arrangement because this is the one that kind of like everybody was reading and loving. I did do an author taste test of this, so I will link that video down in the description box for you so you can hear more of my full thoughts. But of course, both of these got 5 stars. I read this one first and I actually preferred it a little bit more than the arrangement. I was almost thinking to give the arrangement 4 stars until I got to the ending, and then I was like, okay, no, that's a 5-star read. It was kind of how I feel when I was reading The Push, where I was thinking it was like a 4-star the entire time, but then the ending really sold me and I absolutely love that. I think this was, I'm not sure, but this was originally, or for a long time, it was a standalone, but now there is a book 2 and a book 3, and that completes the series. I don't know if I want to continue in the series. Let me know if I should down in the comment section, but also should I continue in the series sooner or later and like focus on some of the other books. I did recently pick up The Dinner Guests and I'm really excited to get to that. And then I also purchased another one from Pango Books recently. So yes, I definitely want to continue in this author's work. If you don't know anything about these books and you don't feel like watching that vlog, The Liar's Wife is about this pretty much newly married couple. They've been married for like 6 months, and in the beginning they are bringing home their newborn baby boy Gray, and the wife is returning to work because her job offers like insurance. She makes more money. She actually likes her job, and his was like the opposite. It didn't have insurance. He didn't make as much money, so they figured, you'll be a stay-at-home dad, I will return to work. So of course that comes with, you know, there's pros and cons of that, but almost immediately upon returning to work, she feels like her husband is starting to hide things from her. He's taking like phone calls in the bathroom, and he takes his like 2-week-old baby to the park, and there's this mysterious package, and she's like, oh, what's that? And he's like, oh, my friend dropped it off. And she's like, well, if you dropped it off, like, why did you take it with you to the park? So there's all these like weird things happening. So she ends up, oh, then the other thing that happens is she finds a receipt to this like diner or something like that, and there's 2 meals paid for instead of just like his, you know. So she asks him about it, and he's like, oh, I was just paying it forward. So she's a little suspicious of what's going on. So she actually like calls into work one day and is like, hey, I'm gonna be late. And they're like, okay. And she follows her husband, and he's meeting up with this other woman, and he seems really happy, and she's holding baby Gray. And so after they split ways, she follows that woman, like, who is this woman? What is going on? And it is just crazy from there. It's very fast paced, it's very short, and yeah, I just could not put this one down. The Arrangement, which is about a man and a woman who do love each other, but the passion and spark in their marriage has kind of faded. They have like, you know, their children are a little bit older now. They've concentrated on their careers for a while, and now they're just trying to like get that spark back in their marriage. So the wife comes up with this idea to make an arrangement where one day a week she can go out on dates and one day a week he can go out on dates. The only thing is they can't ask each other like anything about the dates. They can only keep the dates to their respective days. I think like her day is on Tuesday and his day is on Thursday, and they're going to basically lie to the kids and say that they're working late. And so the first week goes by and something crazy happens, and it just basically snowballs and train wrecks from there. was fast-paced, but it wasn't as fast-paced as this one in my opinion. So I highly recommend both of these. And then the last book that I rated 5 stars came out of left field. Was not expecting it to be 5 stars, but I'm so happy it was. My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. You guys know I love Grady Hendrix. Well, I kind of had like a love-hate relationship with him. Really enjoyed the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Gave that 4 stars. I read The Final Girl Support Group. I gave that 3 stars. And now I'm giving this one 5 stars. And believe you me, no one was more shocked that I gave a YA horror 5 stars. So in this one, you have these 2 girls that are basically become best friends in like the 4th grade. And then it quickly, you know, they're older now. They're like sophomores in high school. And they're hanging out with a couple of their friends. And a night of skinny dipping goes horribly wrong, and Gretchen is not acting like herself after this incident. She is irritable and moody, and something is up, and Abby knows this is not her best friend. Something happened, and she's trying to get to the bottom of what happened to Gretchen. She keeps going to adults and saying, I need help, something is not right, and everybody keeps brushing it under the rug like, oh, nothing's wrong. And she's like, no, seriously, something's wrong. And so you spend much of the novel trying to figure out, is something wrong with Gretchen, or is it just like them being teenagers and her being, you know, whatever. But you quickly come to realize that yes, something is wrong with Gretchen, and are they going to be able to fix it? How strong is this friendship? Is it stronger than these supernatural things that are happening? And it's just a wild ride. But what I absolutely loved about it is that at the core of this story, it's a friendship story, and it's set in the 80s, and the 80s nostalgia is so strong. So strong. It is so like, it's just dripping 80s. I mean, even the book cover looks like a VHS tape. There are so many like nostalgic things about this book, but it also has that really strong friendship. And I mean, did I cry at the end? Maybe. Yeah, it just was so good. It wasn't like fast-paced. It wasn't like creepy. There were some scary, gross things, but it wasn't like scary or anything like that. It was just like a well-told story. It was funny. It had heart. It was nostalgic. It had that teenage angst. It had drama, and I highly recommend this. I feel like you're either going to love this one or hate this one. I said in my review that it's like a cult classic, like Pulp Fiction or Kill Bill. You're either going to really, really love it, or you're going to be like, what the heck does everybody see in this book? But I highly recommend it. Give it a chance. Read it all the way through. There are some slower moments, but overall, 5 out of 5 stars. Can't stop thinking about this one. I created a playlist based off of the song titles of the chapter headers, and I will link that down below as well. I also have this list of almost favorites. All of these books were 4 stars, so they almost made it to my favorites. But that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you're having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye guys.